Romeo Baldwin, the 6-year-old son of Alec Baldwin and Hilaria Baldwin, seemed to live the life of an energetic and curious child, full of adventure and zest for life. Like many children, he was always running, jumping, and exploring his world with the boundless energy that only a 6-year-old can possess. But that all changed one fateful afternoon when an ordinary day suddenly took an unexpected turn. The Baldwin family had gathered for a quiet weekend at their home, a serene escape from the bustling world of Hollywood. Alec and Hilaria, both known for their high-profile careers and social media presence, had taken time off from their hectic schedules to spend quality time with their children. Romeo, as usual, was at the center of it all, full of mischief and joy. He had a way of brightening up any room with his infectious laughter and an ever-present smile that made him the apple of his parents' eyes. The family had spent the morning outdoors, enjoying a sunny day in the yard. There were games of catch, running around, and even a bit of horseback riding. Romeo, who had recently developed an interest in sports, was eager to show off his newfound athleticism. He was particularly fond of playing soccer, and on this day, he was determined to master a tricky move he had seen on a YouTube video. His older siblings cheered him on as he sprinted across the lawn, his small legs pumping furiously with each step. Alec, watching from the sidelines, couldn't help but marvel at his son's determination. But then, in an instant, everything changed. As Romeo attempted to perform a move that involved a quick pivot and a sharp turn, he lost his footing and tumbled to the ground. At first, it seemed like a harmless fall, the kind of spill that children often brush off. However, when Romeo attempted to stand, he cried out in pain, clutching his shoulder. His mother, Hilaria, who had been watching nearby, rushed to his side, her heart racing with concern. "What happened?" she asked gently, kneeling down beside him. Romeo's face twisted in pain as he tried to hold back tears. "I think I hurt my arm, Mommy," he whimpered, his little voice trembling. Alec immediately sprang into action, his protective instincts kicking in. He helped Romeo to his feet and quickly assessed the situation. The boy was holding his arm in an unusual way, and his face was contorted with discomfort. Hilaria's worry deepened as she noticed how tenderly he was holding his shoulder. "Let's get you inside and see what's going on, buddy," Alec said, his voice calm but firm. He carefully helped his son into the house, while Hilaria followed closely behind, her mind already racing through the possibilities of what could have happened. Once inside, the family tried to keep Romeo comfortable while they debated whether they should go to the hospital. Alec, always the pragmatist, suggested they call their family doctor first. Hilaria agreed, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something more serious was at play. Their son was always active and resilient. What if this time, it was different? The doctor's office advised them to bring Romeo in for an X-ray, just to be sure. A short time later, they found themselves in the waiting room of the local hospital, Romeo in his father's lap, his head resting against Alec's chest. The usually talkative child was unusually quiet, a sign that he was more concerned than he had let on. As they waited for the results, Alec and Hilaria exchanged worried glances. They were no strangers to the occasional scrape or bruise, but a serious injury to their child was a different kind of anxiety altogether. Hilaria's mind kept going back to the moment when Romeo fell, the look of pain on his face, and the way he had struggled to stand. Had she missed something? Was there something they could have done differently? When the doctor finally returned with the results, the atmosphere in the room grew heavy with tension. "I'm afraid your son has broken his collarbone," the doctor explained, pointing to the X-ray. The break wasn't severe, but it was noticeable. The doctor reassured the family that it was a common injury among children and that it would heal with time, but he emphasized the importance of rest and avoiding any strenuous activity for the next few weeks. Hilaria's heart sank as she absorbed the information. It wasn't just the physical pain that bothered her, but the emotional toll it would take on Romeo. He was so full of life, so eager to play and explore. How would he cope with being confined to rest, unable to do the things he loved? Alec, always the pillar of strength in moments like these, held their son close, his arms protective around him. "We'll get through this, Romeo," Alec whispered, his voice soothing. "You're going to be okay. We're here for you, buddy." The ride back home was quiet, Romeo leaning against his mother as she gently stroked his hair. Hilaria felt a wave of guilt wash over her, despite knowing that accidents were an inevitable part of childhood. Still, she couldn't help but wonder if there was something more she could have done to prevent it. Alec, sensing her emotions, reached for her hand and gave it a reassuring squeeze. "Hey," Alec said softly, "this isn't on you. Accidents happen. We're going to make sure Romeo heals up right and gets back to being his usual energetic self." That evening, the family settled in for a quiet night at home. Romeo was resting on the couch, his injured shoulder propped up with a pillow. He seemed more comfortable now, though still feeling the sting of his injury. Alec and Hilaria took turns attending to him, making sure he had everything he needed, whether it was a favorite snack, a drink, or simply a comforting presence. As the days passed, the Baldwin family adapted to this new reality. Romeo's broken collarbone required him to wear a sling for several weeks, and for a child so used to being on the go, the adjustment was not easy. There were moments when he would get frustrated, longing to run and play like he once had. But with his parents' guidance and support, he learned to be patient with his body and accept the limitations of his injury. For Hilaria, this period of recovery was as much about emotional healing as it was about physical recovery. She found herself spending more time than usual by Romeo's side, encouraging him to find new ways to engage his mind while his body healed. They spent afternoons reading books together, doing puzzles, and even trying out some gentle yoga exercises, which became a fun bonding experience for them both. Alec, too, made sure to keep things light and positive, often cracking jokes to keep Romeo's spirits high. His natural sense of humor and ability to turn any situation into something positive helped to ease the tension in the house. He also made a point to keep Romeo involved in family activities, whether it was watching his siblings play in the yard or helping to prepare dinner. Despite his injury, Romeo was still very much a part of the family's dynamic. As the weeks went by, Romeo's collarbone began to heal, and gradually, he regained the use of his arm. The once exuberant child, who had been confined to the couch, was now back on his feet, slowly but surely returning to his energetic self. The healing process, though frustrating at times, was a reminder for Alec and Hilaria of how resilient their son was and how strong the bond between them all had become. The incident served as a reminder of the delicate balance of life, how quickly things can change, and how important it is to treasure the moments spent with loved ones. Though the injury had been a setback, it also deepened the family's connection and reminded them of the strength they had when they faced challenges together. In the end, Romeo's collarbone healed without complications, and the Baldwin family moved on from the scare with a renewed sense of appreciation for the simple things, laughter, togetherness, and the unspoken love that carried them through even the toughest times. It was a moment of vulnerability for them all, but as the weeks went on, and their son returned to his usual self, Alec and Hilaria were reminded that even in the face of unexpected hardships, their family's strength would always carry them through.